In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome to iStarly once again. Today is our very first installment of Chatot's Chatter. I'm Deiter.
And I'm Scarecrow.
And we are going to just talk about the great and wonderful Eeveelutions. So, to kick things off, I just wanted to say how my favorite personally is Jolteon. I just always loved how it's just very interesting, it's very cool.
Alright, so I guess the way we're just gonna kick off this conversation about the Eeveelutions is, I guess, simply by discussing which one is our favorite and why. Maybe we could even branch off into more than one favorites and even our least favorite or least favorites. But I'll just start by saying that my favorite has always been Umbreon from 2nd generation. It's a dark type, and I don't know, dark type's one of my favorite types in the game at the moment. And it just looks pretty awesome.
Well, I'm sorry, but Umbreon would be my least favorite. Its appearance is very cool, probably one of the coolest, but I just can't use it in a playthrough.
I agree. I mean, although it's my favorite, it's definitely my favorite in terms of appearance, but I agree that its stats are pretty bad. It's really hard to raise. It doesn't learn that anything strong.
Yes, and, well, my favorite would be Jolteon. Jolteon is electric, it's fast, and it's great at special attack. It can't learn too many different moves, mainly electric, but it can learn Shadow Ball and Signal Beam, which is great, and it's always just been so cool. It came out the very first generation. I always loved it, and I always will. But my close second to Jolteon would be Leafeon.
Interesting. Well, I agree with the points you said about Jolteon. Like, it is very good to use it, and of the ones that came out in 1st gen, it's probably the strongest. But actually, I was going to say that Leafeon might be one of my least favorites.
Oh, well, I like it because it has great attack, its defense is pretty good, and its speed is as well pretty good. It can learn, you know, X-Scissor, Leaf Blade, and it's just so cool. I don't see why you would not like it.
I think it's interesting. It's definitely a good physical attacker and defender, and it's unique that it's a grass type Eeveelution, and it's kind of newer. But I mean, you mentioned how it can learn Leaf Blade and X-Scissor, which are pretty powerful attacks. But to me, it really can't learn too much more than that, other than normal type moves.
Well, I
want it to learn more than just that.
I teach mine Dig and Aerial Ace. It could learn Iron Tail, any Eeveelution can.
I feel like you're scraping at the bottom of the barrel for that.
Well, I don't. Honestly, I see what you mean. I don't like to use Dig. I don't really like those base 60 never miss attacks.
Yeah.
You can always
I mean,
something big.
In comparison to your quote-unquote favorite Jolteon, maybe because it's an electric type, it gets good coverage.
Yes.
Just having Thunderbolt alone is a really good move, and whereas Leaf Blade is a good move, but Grass is just not a good type.
Well, you're right, but it will stay number 2 for me.
Okay, for me, I might say that my second favorite would probably be Glaceon, who also came out the same generation as Leafeon. Between the two, it's definitely the more powerful, but I guess we don't have to discuss that. It's an ice type, which is another one of my kind of favorites. It's pretty powerful, it's pretty bulky. Defensively, ice type isn't that great. It's weak to fighting and rock, but, you know, I like it.
Well, I'm sorry, but when I very first saw this Glaceon, I had high hopes for it, and it was very disappointing. I mean, overall, it's a cool Eeveelution, it's ice, that's a great type that I happen to like, but it's just slow, and I can't really use it too much.
I will admit, though, that Glaceon, like Leafeon, in my opinion, really suffers from lack of good moves to learn. It learns, I mean, like Ice Beam or Blizzard, which are really strong, but then after that, what? It has Water Pulse and Shadow Ball, but other than that, it really has barely anything. And pretty much against Steel types, you're really at a loss.
Really?
Yeah, so I guess we'll try to stray away from, because this is more, you know, Chatot's chatter is more of a casual discussion where we're trying to stray away from the competitive side of Pokemon. So I guess now we'll just try to talk about our least favorite evolution, and we'll try to leave out why it's bad, like if it's slow or whatever, but we'll just try to, I mean, we could try to talk about that, but mainly we want to just talk about the basics of why we don't like it.
I said Umbreon was my least, only for usage wise, but for overall just looks and just habit, I would probably say that Flareon. It's always bored me. What can it learn? Bite? Flamethrower? I mean, come on. It's just too bland.
Well, for me, I mentioned that Leafeon's probably one of my least favorites. Another one of my lower bottom evolutions for me is probably going to be Vaporeon. It's cool, and it's a water type, and water types are definitely very good, but for me it's just nothing special. Like, the other ones seem a lot more unique to me, you know, ignoring their competitive viability. You know, I mean, Espeon's cool because it's like a psychic cat, and it looks really cool, it looks really poised. Umbreon's really swift looking, and it's black with the yellow rings that really remind me of...
I'm sorry, I cut you off, but on Flareon's appearance, it's just like, it looks a lot like Eevee, the fur, it's just red.
Some people would argue that that's a good thing about it.
Well, yes, but I'd expect a normal evolution to look a lot like Eevee. But these all have unique features to them. You could tell what type they are. Flareon, okay, yeah, you can tell it's fire, but still, it just needs to have... It should be more, you know, pizzazz.
I mean, let's draw attention to that. Deiter brought up that point that it looks probably more like Eevee than any of the other evolutions, and at least for the first 3 that came out in Gen 1, you notice that they all kind of have a similar pattern going on. They're all the color of their type, or the color that they're usually associated with. Water's blue, electric yellow, fire red. They all have like a frill or a fluff around their neck that's white. Vaporeon's a frill, which is, you know, more oriented towards sea animals. Jolteon's is like a jagged kind of like collar, which is, you know, it looks sharp like electricity, I guess. And Flareon's is a little more striking, closer to Eevee's.
And that brings the attention to the freaking new Eeveelution, Sylveon.
Ooh, yeah, let's definitely talk about that. There's a lot to talk about with Sylveon, and yeah, where do we begin?
Well, it's just the newest buzz over the internet. What the heck is its type? What's it gonna add? Is there a new type? What is Sylveon?
That's actually a good outline for a discussion right here that we can begin to go into. Alright, so first we'll try to briefly talk about what type we think Sylveon is, because there's definitely a lot of speculation going on about that. People have said that it's a flying type, it's a normal type, it's a dragon type even, and I've also heard, you know, a lot of speculation about there possibly being a new type, like a fairy type or light type. Let's just talk about that. What do you think?
I think the whole new type is just rubbish. I think that it's too late in the game, there's too many Pokemon for there to even be a new type. They'd have to change so many things, factor in so many situations, it can't be a new type.
I'm definitely gonna have to agree with you there. You know, people are gonna argue that, you know, they added 2 new types in Gold and Silver, but the thing about that is there were only 150 other Pokemon to work around. You know, there were only one move that they changed. Bite, they changed to a Dark type.
Yes, and they only changed what, like 2 Pokemon from the old games, Magnemite and Magneton?
Yeah, so there was really not a lot that they had to accommodate for in adding those 2 new types. But now we're 5 generations in, 649 Pokemon in. There's just too much that would have to change.
I totally agree. Now, based on what we talked about earlier, how each Eeveelution looks like what type they're supposed to be. What do you think Sylveon looks like? What type?
Oh, this is hard. I think they did this on purpose. I think they revealed it to us early on purpose because they might know that it's just so hard to decide. My instincts would say, on first look, that it looks like a normal type.
I would be super disappointed if it was normal. I don't want a normal Eeveelution. I, myself, was going with Dragon.
Dragon, I do see it. I mean, it has some coloration for Dragon and some, I don't know, ribbons.
Its eyes are just so unique. It looks like they're piercing. The coloration, like you said. And, you know, what would a Dragon Eeveelution be? It's supposed to be a cat, it's not supposed to be a dragon, so I think that's why this is a Dragon Eeveelution. It just seems mythical.
Okay, I could see that. I won't completely refute that, because right now it's completely up for grabs what it could be. But let's talk about the possibility of it being a bug type. It does have a little bow underneath its neck and on top of its right ear, which kind of look like butterfly wings. What do you think of that?
I see the butterfly wings, I do see the buggy eyes, but, I mean, bug cat, I don't know, pink. If I were to think of a bug Eevee, I would maybe see some like lightish, yellowish green. I don't know if it would be bug, I mean, it's just too furry.
Yeah, I think at this point, no matter what is said and done, if you say it's gonna look like a type, there are qualities about Sylveon that make it not look like that type. Like if you say it looks like a dragon type, it looks too pretty and too bowy and ribbony to look like a dragon type. But if you say it looks like a normal type, you know, it's too pink and its eyes are too, you know, different than looking like a normal type. You know, there are just so many things that come into question with it.
And I would have to agree. It's just too unique, too mind-boggling, and we will keep scratching our heads on what Sylveon is.
I agree there. Definitely within the next month or two we're going to start learning a lot more about X and Y. They actually announced that on April 6th they're going to make a new announcement about X and Y, and it could be a new Pokemon, it could be, you know, a new feature in the game, we don't know yet, but that's definitely something to look forward to. Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps it up for our Eeveelutions. There's plenty more we could say about each one, but, you know, we want to keep this video as short as possible.
And I think we tried.
We tried, but hopefully there's a lot of decent content in this video. And now I'd like to turn the focus to you, viewers of iStarly. What do you think about the Eeveelutions? Who is your favorite? Who are one or two of your favorites, and why? Who are one or two of your least favorites, and why? And what do you think about Sylveon? Please let us know.
Get your Eeveelution on!